All right, good morning, traders. Today is November 20th, 2023. My SPY pivot this morning, 450.22. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. The Fab Five. Who are the Fab Five? That's FNGU, QQQ, SPY, IWM, and DIA. Those are the four indices plus FNGU. All right, the Fab Five are in daily uptrends, remain in daily uptrends. The U.S. dollar index has retraced to the flat 200 SMA on the daily chart. It's around the 103.50 level. Silver and gold, precious metals remain in daily uptrends. They are pulling back. USO and UNG, that's our energies, crude oil and nat gas remain in daily downtrends. All right, here's a possible trade today. I observed a bullish 4-day MMRP pattern on CLS daily chart. All right. If I was going to play that, I would find the 15 or the 30-minute uptrend over BYOB with the 3 over the 8. And I try to get in on something like that. All right. Observe descending wedge pattern with descending bodies on CELH daily chart. So if I was to get in on that, I'd look for the same thing, only under VWAP with the 3 crossing down underneath the 8, looking to short CELH. SMH is in an uptrend, making higher highs and new all-time highs. XLF, IYT have reached uptrend status on their daily charts by making higher highs. All right, let's go take a look at some charts. All right, so here's SPY. Okay, here's the last high. We made a higher high, so that puts it in a daily uptrend right there. All right, it's consolidating. You can see we got 1, 2, 3 days of consolidation right here. All right, we have a downtrend line right overhead, and that very well may be the target or this peak right up here. So it could be this peak or this downtrend line. We'll see what happens. All right, so this is a big bullish candle, and now they're resting out. And that big bullish candle is near the end of the move. Notice it wasn't at the beginning, it's at the end. So, I mean, it's possible they could go up there and spike that, then come back down and do a Fibonacci retracement from there. So there's SPY. I'm looking for more consolidation, probably waffle back and forth here today. We'll see what happens. If on the 10-minute chart, if they get up over 450.22, there's a possibility they run up there to the pre-market highs, which are right about at 452. So if they get up over 450.22, if they manage to hold 450.22 today, there's a possibility they run up there and try to tag that 452 later today. If they break down under 450.22, that's my pivot, and they start a 10-minute downtrend under VWAP, I'm going to say 447.75. That's going to be my target down here. Okay. Hey, good morning, Lenny, Richard, Julie, Thea. All right, so 450.22 is my pivot. If they manage to hold up here, I'm looking at 452. If they manage to not hold 450.22, then I think I'm headed right down here. Good morning, Cosborn. To 447.78. Now I got some 450 puts that are underwater. So if they manage to do that, I'm going to double down on those puts so I can bring my cost average down so that I can get out, hopefully break even with a little bit of profit at 447.78. All right, so that's my plan today for SPY. So let's go back to the daily chart and we'll look at QQQ. All right, so here's QQQ. You can see we got, let's take this out of the way. All right, so you can see they had a downtrend. They broke it. Nice job on the QQQ. All right, they had a prior high of the here, and we made a new higher high. So that puts it in uptrend status. I would expect it to kind of pull back to probably this area right here, 380.79. That would be a first target if they do roll over sometime this week. Second target would be right on top of this shelf right here, 377.23. All right, that's if they roll over. And there's no saying that they will. They might just consolidate and pump out a new high. I don't think so because they got this big candle at the end of the move. So we'll see what happens here. So that's QQQ. FNGU. FNGU, here's the prior high. You can see we made another higher high. So what we got is a daily uptrend on FNGU. So FNGU doing all the right stuff, doing almost a 3 EMA run. So if they lose that, you know they're coming back to the T-line and then to the trend indicator. Okay? That's FNGU. Nice solid uptrend right there. We'll see how far they want to take it. Maybe they take it up to this neckline. That could be their target. Notice their target's like a little bit above. SPY target could easily be that downtrend line I just pointed out right here. And we got an open gap right through here. So if they get up over 455, they could fill that gap right up there. Good morning, Mai. So there's SPY, QQQ, and FNGU. Let's take a look at IWM. Now, IWM I like particularly better than probably the other three. Even though the other three are on fire, if you look at IWM, it already put in the higher low. Okay? You don't have that on FNGU, QQQ, and SPY. That means they could tumble quite a ways. All right, and they could actually fall out of, uptrend status by losing that, breaking below that prior high. But here we got IWM. Now they did the right stuff. They put in a higher low right here, and they produced a higher high. So there's IWM on a daily uptrend. And let's see if they broke their downtrend. We're just going to connect these. You can see there's, swing it right through there. So you can see not only did they produce the higher high, but they trying to break this uptrend. So far they only got a spike, and producing that higher low is a possibility of them hanging on to the backside of this downtrend line. So there's IWM in an uptrend because it made a higher high. Here's the previous high right here, and it made a higher high. So they don't want to lose this high. That's where they're at. They got a good buzz on. They don't want to lose it. So there's IWM. Let's take a look at DIA. All right, previous high, made a higher high, and you can call that a low. It's kind of a weak low because there's not many candles on each side of this higher low, but it is a higher low. You can see here's DIA making a higher low and a higher high. So I like IWM a little bit better. Probably doesn't have that many more candles than the DIA right here, Diamond Dow. You can see Diamond Dow up into prior resistance right up here. This would be kind of like some major resistance up here. So we'll see how this works out. So Diamond Dow in a nice uptrend as well. Let's take a look at some indicators. All right, first indicator we're going to look at is T2122. And you can see T2122 on Friday was up in the overbought zone. So it made another trip back up to the overbought zone. So the markets are bullish. Being in the overbought zone kind of makes them very bullish. And we were in the chop zone for a little bit, and then we climbed back into the overbought zone. So now let's take a look at T2123. Friday's price action. You can see green all day, but not a whole lot of space up there. Okay? Not a whole lot of space. T2123, 3-bar chart. Got a lot of space right there. You can see the trend indicators closing that gap. We'll see how far they get. If IWM can continue its uptrend and keep rocking higher. FNGU. Well, we kind of had a red, green, red, green, red, green. Then the bulls took over for the afternoon. And then they just gave up the ghost right here. And they pulled back to VWAP. So we'll see where they're headed today. It's almost a failure to make a higher high. So this is a possibility things could come and test some of those low targets sometime this week. We'll see what happens. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but you know, if we start seeing price spend a little bit more time underneath the VWAP, I'm pretty much going to be looking for that to break down if it spends too much time underneath VWAP. All right, so now let's go back and let's take a look at precious metals. Let's take a look at silver first. All right, you can see silver kind of pulling back here. Here's the previous channel. Here's the prior high. Well, this high right here, and you can see it makes a higher high and a higher low. So silver in an uptrend right there. You got a high. You got a low, higher low, and now you got a higher high. So silver's in an uptrend, but still stuck in this consolidation channel. GLD. Okay, GLD broke out of the wedge to the downside and then ripped back through both sides of the wedge to produce a higher low right here. So GLD is in an uptrend. It's produced a higher high. Here's our previous high right here. We get a circle around that. Here's our previous high right there. And you can see right here we made a higher high. So gold in an uptrend producing one low, higher low. So gold is in an uptrend. Kind of consolidating here between 180, well 179 and 186. Stuck at the midpoint right about now, right around 183. Let's trash that out. Let's take a look at crude oil. USO. So here's USO. You got a lower high and a lower low underneath the trend indicator. Friday's price action. Bullish engulfing right there. And kind of got a gap up. So it looks like they're going to head back up and test that trend indicator right there because they're going right through the T line. So you got bullish engulfing. So those oil stocks may get a little bit of lift this morning. We'll see what happens. You can see there's the bullish engulfing right there. What did that bounce off of? Not too much. Really. You can see there's oil turning around. Let's take a look at UNG. Still in a downtrend. UNG still in a downtrend as well. Lower high. Here's previous high, lower high. We got a low, and then we got lower lows. So UNG still in a downtrend. We got a bottom tail right here. You can see they're already down underneath that bottom tail right now in the pre-market. So UNG, not quite as strong as USO. USO putting in a bullish engulfing. UNG kind of gapping down and looking lower. So there's UNG. Here's the consolidation channel it was in before, was kind of this area right here and right here. So here we are testing the bottom side of this channel today on UNG. Now let's take a look at SMH. So here's SMH. I'm going to get the monthly out so you can see. All right, so here's a monthly chart. So you can see this is an all-time high for SMH right there. So I'm going to go back to the daily. You can see here's our daily chart. So you can see they went up and they put in the bullish flag. Notice the nature of that bullish flag. See how it kind of tilts down just a little bit. So you got this move that goes up and then back and then up again like that. See, that's like a perfect bullish flag right there. See that? You know, it's going to waffle back and forth while it consolidates in that bullish flag. But you can see there's your perfect bullish flag right there. And you can see SMH is running off to make new highs. So, you know, this is a nice learning lesson for everybody. Is that when you see a chart pattern do that right there, that up, and then consolidate like this, because a lot of them do this, all right? And they get back to here, and you see them break halfway over the midpoint after the 1, 2, third wave. After the third wave, you see them break over the midpoint right there. That's a good sign that there could be, you know, your next trip higher or back up to the highs. Okay, so you got this. You do the third wave, 1, 2, 3, break over the midpoint right there. All right, this is a very typical pattern. You might want to write it down, take a picture of it, punch in there, third wave, bull flag, right there as a nice strategy right over the midpoint. That's a beautiful bull flag right there. Now, if we look at it, I'm going to pull out the quad lines just to see where things lined up. And I'm going to start right here. Didn't want that. Let's try it again. I'm going to start right here. And I'm going to pull back to here. Okay? So, here's your breakout level. There's your consolidation. Then you got your breakout, and then it pulls back to the midpoint, and you notice right through here, we're holding the upper half. You know, that's why I use the quad lines a lot, and I talk about 51% and 50%. Well, here is one of those times where here's price action holding the upper 50%. In other words, the bulls have control. They still have control. They still have control. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months later, they still have control. It looks like they're losing it over here, but if you drill down in there, you can see all of those are nothing but bottoming tails right there. And then they hold on to this midpoint, and then where do they go? They go breach the halfway point of this area right here, right there, and then they rock it off to test the highs. Okay, so this is something you want to look for in a pattern in other indices or another stock or in the future. Kind of remember this. This is great. It's a great lesson right here. Take a picture of this, because this is what you want to find, is something that maintains this bullish level right over the 50-yard line, over the midpoint. This is something to look for, to find. Now, it takes a while. You got to have patience. You see, it took, 5 months for this to play out, and then finally you get the rip back to the prior highs. So there's a nice lesson there if you weren't aware of it. of, you know, what a nice bull flag looks like. Because you get that pullback, and that's what we want. We want to get stuff on sale. You get that pullback back towards the 50-yard line or the midpoint, and then it rips right up there. So there's SMH. Now let's take a look at IYT. All right, so here's our transports. And I'm just going to fill this in all the way down to there. And I'm going to take that out because that's irrelevant. And I'm going to extend that because that could be a target as well. And I'm going to take this off because I don't think we're going to hit that line for a long, long time. All right, so here we go. We got a deep pullback. It's in a downtrend right down to here. And you can see here's the prior high. Let me box that to show you where that is. So here's the prior high right here. And then we made a higher high. So now we've got a higher high. So that makes this in an uptrend. And you can see they're challenging resistance. That's what they're caught on right now. So there's IYT breaking the downtrend and making a higher high. So IYT's in an uptrend. A little extended if you ask me, but this may be the target right up here. Would be the backside of this line right here. The backside of this uptrend line could be a target. We'll see what they want to do. That's IYT. Now let's take a look at XLF. All right, so here's XLF. Putting in a really weak higher low, if you want to call it that. Doesn't even look like a higher low because it didn't even cross the T line. A really good higher low crosses the T line and at least challenges the 17 EMA. That's hard to call that a higher low, but it really is one. All right, so here's XLF breaking the downtrend there. And you can see here's a prior high right here. Or if you want to call this a prior high because you're calling this a higher low, making the higher high. So that puts XLF in a daily uptrend. And I would look for this. It's hitting resistance right up through here. You can see this resistance right here. It's hitting into that right now. I would expect this to kind of pull back to a location, you know, right along the top of these. See these wicks up here? So I'd expect this to pull back to some place right about there. So maybe about first or second week of December, you may see a visit to the top of these wicks and the backside of this downtrend line right there on XLF. This is getting kind of toppy up here. That's probably an MMRP if I look at it. But I want to, speaking of MMRPs, let's go look at CLS. All right, so I can show you CLS. All right, so here's CLS, and you've got a 4-day pattern. Okay, so here's it reverses direction. A really good MMRP breaks through resistance and reverses direction. So you can see right here, here's the first 4 days. And then we've got a 4-day consolidation rest test of support. All right, so the support would be right up through here. See this peak? See this prior high which pulled back right there? So you can see here's the support. So it rips through resistance. All right, you see that, how it rips through resistance? Because this was support or resistance before, and then we got back underneath it. So you can see it rips through resistance right there, comes back and tests it for support, and then you've got, here's a 4-day move. There's the next 4-day move. And now we're into the next 4-day move right here. So this is 2 days into the next 4-day move. And maybe you get a third one. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But this is kind of extended for me. But if it comes back to the 3, I'm going to be interested in it. But there's your MMRP on the daily time frame right there on CLS. All right, the other one I wanted to show you was CELH, and it didn't want that. All right. Can you see all this descending bodies right down here to support? See how the price action is kind of winding up, come down, back up, winds down, comes down, up, winds down, comes back down. So this is winding up for a breakdown move, probably down to 45 at first. And then I would expect it to hit a little bit lower all the way down into here, 40. And you've got a lower high right through here. So if you look, we've got a high here, and then we've got a lower high right through here. All right. So with that lower high, I'm looking for that lower low to be made somewhere down here. All right. So CELH, and it's weak on the BOP. So you can see right there, this looks lower. And earnings aren't till 3/6. So obviously they just went through earnings and something didn't smell right. So I'm thinking this is really looking lower. And you can see here's the consolidation battleground on your typical M pattern. So here's your M, up, back, up, and then back. And now you can see right through there, right through here, you're getting a little bit of battleground starting to happen right through there. It may go today, and it may waffle here for a week or two. We'll see what happens. But there's CELH. This looks lower. It may pull back to the midpoint as well. But I'm going to say this definitely looks lower. This looks like a really good candidate for me to go lower. So it could pull back to here and then come back down again. So anywhere between 50 and 56 right there. So pull back to the T line. I'm definitely going to pick some up there. Pull back to over the trend indicator. I'll pick some up there. As long as it doesn't breach this 50-yard line right there, that midpoint, this definitely looks lower. And you got a whole lot of support here. You can see all of this price action. So it may take some time to get through that. But I got to tell you, it does look lower. Good morning, Cosborn. And T's asking, John, on SMH, when price pulls back after passing the 50, it rips higher. Is it the 50% of the entire bull flag? 50%. Well, you can do the 50% T of the entire bull flag, but you want to recognize. Let me swing back over there to that one. Okay. Just don't forget to recognize that price action, even though it's been consolidating. Okay, I'm gonna take it from here because this was the move that I would have liked to have captured. All right, so here's your breakout move right here. I could probably even extend that down to there. Okay, so you can see right here, it's staying in the 50% of this move, but consolidated for 6 months. Now, for me, the entry is when the bulls bring it back over this 50-yard line right there. There's your lower high, and the bulls bring it back up over here. So here they close a candle over the 50% T. All right, and then in addition to that, they give it some follow through. All right, so you can see not only they close a candle, there's your first clue. All right, but then they got follow through instead of rolling over like we see many other stocks do. After closing up here, they kind of like they give you a doji candle, and then they roll back over, right? Okay, so this one stayed closed over the 50-yard line, and then it got follow through right there. So there's your clue. Breaking right over the high of that candle, actually gapped up over it, and then ripped all the way to make new highs. So the entry for me would be this right here, right on the T line. The 3 EMA. But of course the 3 EMA is not there. Remember, the 3 EMA is probably way back here. It's a tough entry to take. That's why not many people got it, including myself, seeing this all the way up here. The other place you could have taken it, T, was here's your flag, was this candle right here. Okay? So we closed above the midpoint of the flag, all right? Not just the last move. That was the last move measurement. And then here comes the next one. Up over the flag, it's closing. You got a doji candle rest. And as soon as you break out over the doji right there, that would have been my entry at 150. Okay? See, a doji represents pause or rest. So whenever it breaks down below, I'm ready to go short. If it breaks up above, I'm ready to go long. In other words, they're saying they want to rest, but we don't know how long they want to rest. So a move up over, there it is right there. Coming in right over the top of that candle, that's the entry right there. Because granted, this one would be darn near difficult for me to take because my 3 EMA would have been back here at 143, and now we're gapping up over this, this high quality doji that's already gapped up, and then we're gapping up over that. For me to take that candle, what was that, like $4 over the 3 EMA, which would have probably been way back here, 144, and taking that at 148 because it's bullish, that would have been difficult for me. And I think it would have been difficult for every trader because it just doesn't fit any setup or pattern or anything that, any rule or anything that you could want to take on that one. Do you really want to buy a stock when it gaps up here? We don't know where it's going to go when it's up here like this. It could come tumbling back down. And we've seen that many times where they gap way up here and then they just come right back on us. So that was a difficult trade to take it there. But getting back to the full flag and then getting the doji in, over that doji would have been an acceptable trade for me. But not this one. As bullish as it was. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the pullback. I really don't like chasing. That would have been acceptable, but let me just say that would have been a little bit of chasing right there. I could have played that on a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. I could have, but I'm still looking for a lot of these pullbacks to give me that setup for the next challenge of the highs on SMH, IYT, XLF. Yeah. All right, traders, I'm going to end the video here. I'll talk to you out there in YouTube land and Rumble land in about probably 6.5 hours, 7 hours at 4 o'clock. All right. And I'll take questions in the room.